wrestling card collectors, welcome to another edition of WTCtv. And here we are again with Paul, the Price Guide.
Hey, everybody.
Doing our monthly recap for October. So how's October been treating you then?
Tony knows I've been in renovation hell for the last few weeks, so
that's why I thought I asked like that.
Yeah, getting through to the other side. But let's talk wrestling cards.
Let's talk some wrestling cards, man. What do we got today?
Well, the biggest news, obviously, and for those who missed, as you can see by the background behind Tony there, is that Panini is going to be the new manufacturer of wrestling trading cards. And for those who missed it, Tony was clever enough to get up an impromptu breaking news segment this past week. And we put together a real excellent panel of wrestling card guys to chat about where we thought things would be going, to sort of give our preliminary opinion of what we thought the implications of the Panini license is going to be. So not much has happened since then, but we know that Panini starts manufacturing next year. We know it's roughly around a $10 million deal. We don't know how long. It's multi-year. But what we're going to discuss now is sort of the reactions. And we had, even on our panel, there were 6 of us, and we were all wrestling card guys. And by and large, the takeaway from our video the other night was pretty positive. You know, we were all optimistic about what this change might bring. But subsequently, there's been a lot of murmur about it potentially being a bad thing. And my opinion, and I could be wrong on this, is that a lot of that may be coming from non-wrestling collectors, guys that have been in ice hockey up here in Canada or been in soccer with Panini before, and they've dealt with their customer service, they've dealt with their printing issues. So they're kind of forecasting, well, wrestling guys, you don't know what you're in for. To what I say, well, I've been dealing with Topps for the last 15 years. And I've never bought a Prism product before, and it looks pretty snazzy to me. So I'm looking forward, at least in the early days, to the Panini products. There's chat about how does it affect the master collector, because the pricing might be such that you won't be able to put together a master set. And I'm sure when we talk about Chrome in a little bit, I'll let you know, well, we're there already.
We're already there.
Trying to buy master sets now, and you're spending like $250 US.
Also, for those who are confused by what you mean, define what a master set means to you.
Your complete base set, all your insert cards, no parallels, right? So basically, all your base set and
let's use 2021 Chrome as an example. So a master set would be
21 Chrome. You have the base set, right? And I'm not talking about parallel refractors, because you have the first level, the aquas. Sure. But then we had 4 different chase sets. One were the in-your-house die cuts. And there was 25 of those, which in and of itself for an insert set is quite a lot, which made it harder to put together, because we had 25 of those. Then we had 20 of something called 5-timers, which were beautiful looking cards. And again, I'm not talking about the aesthetics of the set, because it was met, as most Chrome normally is, with glowing reviews. It's a beautiful looking set.
There's 20 of those cards?
I think there was 20 of the 5-timers, 25 of the in your house. Then there was the greatest feats of strength, and then there was the cruiserweights.
Yeah, cruiserweight greats.
Cruiserweight greats, which were retail only. So you had to buy.
No, it's not.
One of them was. So then
the great feats of strength is a retail only, but the cruiserweights is in both.
Right, the cruiserweights were in both. So you had to buy the blasters of those. Long story short is that one of the lead resellers, distributors that I buy from, had to buy 5 cases to put together the master set. Now that doesn't include the image variants. It doesn't include a refractor set, but includes the 4 insert sets and the base set. And unfortunately, because he wasn't able to do it, I had to buy it in pieces, and then shipping it up here to Toronto with 5 different shipping charges, it becomes uber expensive for me. So the point I'm trying to make is that for all those that are saying that Panini is going to price a lot of us out of the market, it's been pretty tricky for master collectors. Now, for guys buying parallels, it's a different story, but they're used to paying more, I suspect, for higher level parallels. And then autographs, it's going to be no different than the AEW set. Like an MJF auto is going to be in high demand, and it's going to be expensive. So, I don't want to defend something that hasn't hit the market yet. I just think that it's a little premature for us to be sort of sounding the alarm on something that hasn't come out yet.
So, the 5-timers club is only an 8-card set. The cruiserweight greats is a 7-card set.
There's only
and the great feats of strength are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 cards as well.
No, that's not right, Tony.
That's what we got.
Really? What do I got?
I haven't seen any more than the names that are listed so far. 5-timers club. We got Booker, Charlotte, Kofi, Ray, Sasha, The Miz, Trish Stratus, and William Regal. You know what? It is wrong because there's also Triple H.
Yeah, like I've got now. I got my information from Cardboard from the actual Tops
Yeah.
spreadsheet, right? And on the actual top spreadsheet, they got 25 that we have verified.
Yeah, we got to get
You know
those
what?
updated because we
You know what?
actually
Hang
had
on.
ours. Our
Uh,
checklist was preliminary, so I knew that from the beginning.
I've got them here. Hang on. What have I got here? I've got okay. So I've got these. These are the 25 in your houses.
In your
I just
house,
haven't
yep.
I just haven't put the flip through. And then these are the cruiserweight greats. And yeah, there's 10 of these, but I'm pretty sure there are 20 of the 5-timers.
Okay.
I'll update you on that. But that leads to my point that since there were so many of them, you have to buy like a lot of cases to make the entire set.
Yeah, there's 20 cards in that. We have actually the 5-timers insert itself, for whatever reason, the checklist we originally have was just the non-autograph and parallel versions listed at only 8 cards. But when you look at the autograph, because there's autograph versions of all those, there's 20.
Yeah, and I just checked now for my eBay and I bought 20 cards.
Gotcha.
Right. So, but that is, so 25 in your house, 20 of those plus 10. So you're talking about 60 different insert cards. Now they said that in your houses were seated 1 per 7 packs. Because I know that it took Chris, the guy I bought from, he had to go into his 5th case to finish, and his last card wasn't in your house. So you used to get a complete base set out of a box or two, right? That's just not happening here.
Sorry, I was looking at the odds in the wrapper.
Yeah, does it say?
It's hard for me to read.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure from the list that Chuck sent us both that the odds were 1 in 7 on in your houses. But
yeah, those that checklist that we first got was such an early release, like I think the day of or day after it got released.
Right.
So it needs to be updated, and I've already found some discrepancies myself on it. So I know Chuck has been working on it to kind of reorganize.
I normally start with the spreadsheet that Tops puts out, because that's put out to Beckett and it's put out to Cardboard Connection at the same time. I download that and use that as a starting point. Now, back in the day, in the Fleer days, it was very, very common for them to list stuff that wasn't made.
Correct.
Where you find for most of the top stuff, the spreadsheet gets done after they've gone into production. So here's what we've actually printed. And then how does it get seeded and everything else? So again, we moved over to Chrome, but I want to tie this back into Panini, and what may happen or may not happen is that we might see the same issues. We might find that one has to buy a lot of boxes to make a master set, or to get all the inserts, or to get your rainbow parallels. And then of course we know there's player collectors that are going to be trying to find each one of those parallels plus the autographs. So it's become it's not a poor man's hobby anymore. We know that it's not a hobby for kids. It's gotten costly. I wouldn't expect the new Upper Deck or Panini product to be less expensive than the Tops. I mean, you've got a somewhat captive market. Prism has its own fan base, so we're gonna get new eyeballs onto wrestling just because people like Prism. Yep. And give me some Prism. I've never after buying Tops and Road to WrestleManias for 6 years, and I'm quite.
So as more of a set collector yourself, you're not going to be going after like, hey, this is a brand new product from a brand new company, so it's the first one they're doing. Are you having any interest in getting like, maybe I'll just pick a box and just sit on it?
No.
Yeah.
Because that's not that, it's like asking me, why don't I go get something graded tomorrow?
True.
Once I start, where do I stop? And I don't normally buy boxes, you know what I mean? And it's a bit of a problem getting it up here to Toronto. You pay so much through the global shipping program. And then the government of Canada now is really strict on duties. So as soon as it goes over $20, they want their share. Never mind the delays. Like it was bad enough before the pandemic, but shipping up here has just become insane now.
That's why I was so surprised to see how fast you got the shirt I sent you.
Actually, I was surprised too. Because I think you said you'd sent it and it was there 3 or 4 days later, which is excellent.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny because we're in Toronto, we're south of Minnesota, like I'm 5 minutes away. I can see Rochester when I drive down the next adjacent street, and it's like we're in Europe, for God's sakes. But it's just the way the shipping on these things have gone. So I won't be buying boxes. I'll be doing it the way I always do. I'll be relying on other people to go out buy the cases, break it, and then figure out how they're going to bring their product as resellers to market for guys like me.
I haven't decided for me personally, because I'm such on the fence on different things. I'm not sure what I'm going to buy of that, if at all, or just be, what, I'm a player collector. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to go after these particular things, and that's it. Or, hey, I'm going to jump on the hype of like, it's the first, Prism set.
You did buy cases of Upper Deck, right?
I bought a case.
Yeah, you and Zan split on a case. So
yeah,
I would imagine you'd probably this Panini Prism is going to be pretty special. I think it's going to be the inaugural Panini release. It's going to be the first Prism that WWE's ever seen, right?
Yep.
So, you know,
It'll be a little bit different than AEW because it's the first official AEW release period.
exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Depends on box prices. So, that's the thing is I think the two number one complaints from people are
What the
one,
prices might be.
price is too high, and
Yeah.
then two, I hear a lot about customer service. But
Yes.
you know,
I've heard that too,
if you've
but
dealt with Topps, you
like
kind of know
anything,
that.
but you know, you've dealt with PSA and you have to sort of deal with what's going on now with the hobby. You know, it's just the sort of reality of the world that we live in now.
It's
Again, when you remember when Steel City and David Adams got the first sort of semblances of boxes for AEW, it was $99 and all the way up to 160, then back down to 130. Now, again, none of that ever affects me. I don't buy boxes, but I know that it affects the guys that I buy from. And if the box is 150, then the guys I might buy from might buy half a dozen cases instead of 10. And those extra cases that are sitting on is where I'm putting my master set out. You know what I mean? Potentially. And there are a lot of guys in the States. There's very few up here in Canada that actually buy significant enough product that I can get what I need from them. But there's enough in all the States that, you know, guys that service their local markets and stuff that normally buy cases of the stuff and I'm able to find. It's just been more expensive. You know, even the Undisputed was tricky and the Finest was tricky. Well, Finest, there wasn't a base set, but it's just been over the pandemic era, we'll call it, more expensive. For all levels of collectors, be it the master set guys like myself, or the rainbow guys, or the PCs like you. You know, and now you want Dexter Loomis, you're going to double your output now. Although you shouldn't be spending as much money. You know, as soon as you tie into a new name, ching ching.
Yeah, I know, but I figured that's why I went to one. It's to have fun, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now in the hobby and how I collect. So just doing Kurt Angle and Dexter Loomis stuff now, and I figure it's a low investment,
Sure.
low investment, low risk. You know, if he blows up someday, you never know. If he doesn't, I'm not out a whole lot of money.
Exactly.
And it's another great thing about the community that we're in, the wrestling card community,
Exactly.
such like
Now
no other.
let me ask you this, because the other night you were hosting and asking all the questions and we were giving you all the opinions. What do you think about Panini? I want to hear Tony Vella's take on where you think. I know that you haven't bought a lot of Panini product over the years, but you're more familiar than most. What's your sort of feel?
I'm
Are you
kind of in,
that
I'm
sort
kind of
of
in the middle with everybody else. Like we don't know what to expect from here. It's like
right?
it's a great product. We've seen nothing but good stuff from them in the past. They've got a lot of flagship type of releases that I think people are excited to see about. I'm excited to see about it. I'm okay with the change. It doesn't bother me.
I think so.
Doesn't hurt me at all. It's about time that we have something different that's in the than Tops over the last
Yeah,
whatever.
all this talk from people out in the Twitter universe saying, "Oh, you guys, you don't know what you're going to be up against, and you know the reckoning is coming." You know, maybe, but I doubt it. I mean,
On the flip
we're
side too, like
lifers.
who's to
You know,
say we are ready?
here we are on a Saturday afternoon talking about wrestling cards. We're in this, you
We're
know,
in it.
all in, as it were.
But
We've
the
been
the casual person who's kind of getting into it probably
right,
doesn't understand. I'm sure it's kind of what we have these segments for, is to kind of educate people, hopefully, and that they could
right.
get some knowledge here. But I don't think things are going to change that much. And
And it's
people
going to go to
talk,
retail. You're going to be able to buy it at Target and Walmart
sure,
and the LCS and these places. So, you know, and Panini again is an established brand. You know, if we're dealing with an upstart company or someone we'd never heard of before, then we might have concerns about, okay, how well are they going to be
we'll
able to
talk about
service
that in
marketing?
2026 when Fanatics starts doing their cards.
Yeah, but Fanatics have big bucks, so
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They don't have any flagship products to kind of put their name behind. It's like that. It doesn't
but they
matter.
will.
But they will.
They
They
will.
either have to create something
Yeah,
or buy something that already has names. And that's
yeah,
why you have a place of like Tops is ripe for the picking right now. Like, why
yeah.
would you not want to go and buy a
It's a
brand that already
possibility.
has Heritage and Chrome and Undisputed and Finest and
Exactly.
Stadium Club and all these different names that
Well,
are
you know,
known in the industry?
we briefly mentioned this too. They're big enough they could buy Panini if they wanted to.
Of
That's
course.
different scale. So
Well,
Fanatics,
you can't just go in there and say, I'm buying you, you're done. It has to be Panini says we're available to buy.
right.
And I don't think they're going to be in the position to say, well, we want to sell.
Well, now that WWE is with Panini, I think it's locked in for us. Now we know that AEW is the upper deck, and you know Fanatics won't be as big an issue to the wrestling card hobby, but to the hobby in general of sports cards is going to be massive because they're going to be the driving force over the next decade. But it's nice to see. I was kind of happy. I'm like, oh, good. Fanatics didn't get it, you know, which means that we're not going to go on the same ride as everybody else. We're going to
Sure.
be in our own sort of wrestling card zone,
Like we
and
always are.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But
Nothing,
again, just
nothing has changed but the price tag.
exactly. And you know, well, this touches into the next thing. The AEW, speaking of that release, it's been
Yep,
delayed. Last time when we spoke, we expected it to come out November 2nd, which is next week.
yep.
We now know that it's probably not coming until December
December
8th.
8th.
Yeah, and between me and you, it could go into the new year. And the reason for that is nothing to do with Upper Deck, but just global supply chain issues in general. There's all sorts of I'm in the real estate business up here, and I deal with a lot of trades and a lot of construction related things. And it's insane how much things have gone up, how long it takes. Like I just put in an order for windows for delivery in Q2 2022 today. You know what I mean? And the way I understand it, you've got a bunch of boats out to sea down California way,
Yep.
and you have all these trucks waiting to get deliveries to go into the interior to get the goods out there. And I think I spoke to you about this before. For we collectors that buy a lot of stuff, we have to buy supplies. We have to buy 9-up pages. We have to buy binders. And the 9-up pages, the most popular one is Ultra Pro. They make the binders as well, and they're used in all sports. That a box of 100 used to be roughly about $20, right?
Yep.
Now it's closer to 40, and we're talking about a year and a half. And I spoke to a bunch of people, and they said, yeah, the PVC that they use in the plastic that goes in the sheets that come from China, the plastic pellets, and a whole story of how a bunch of boats that are floating around the harbor of California are adversely affecting so many things. That's why on 60 Minutes the other day, they're talking about how they're trying to get kids into the trucking business because they don't have enough people to get behind the wheels to move the stuff around so that the infrastructure can get supply on demand. So
that's the
that's
case
a
across
macro
the
look
board.
at
That's across the board on
exactly.
everything that comes in the trading card. And so we'll keep it in trading cards.
Exactly.
And that is like, packaging and the cardboard to
Shrink
print
wrapping,
cards and the shrink wraps and all that stuff. There's only so much. And not only do we have a shortage of supplies, we have a shortage of centers that can actually produce that stuff
correct,
and make that stuff. And with
correct.
so much inventory and so much releases
Hitting
coming
at
out,
once.
it's hard to keep up. And so things get delayed
Well,
or
just
outright cancel as Upper Deck just did for our hockey
as some
stuff.
people, yeah, because they knew it was going to be too long. The lifetime would be too long, and by the time they get that product out, they're into their calendar for other titles.
Correct.
And that's the thing. I don't think that Upper Deck, especially on a release like this, wants to release a product formally when you have a half a dozen states where some of your major LCSs or major retailers don't have product.
Correct.
So you've got to get that stuff off. Well, it's being made domestically, but it's got to be packaged, and then it's got to go to trucks that are going to feed all across the network, and that's just all slowed down. And it's nothing to do with wrestling cards, nothing to do with AEW or Upper Deck. It's just a pandemic.
And it's the primary reason of what's really, I believe, what's caused all the delays with Topps. In addition to probably some talent leaving, so like that, but it's clear that when we got Chrome, half that roster not even there.
Yeah, but they didn't. Yeah, they didn't X anybody out. We got Adam Cole. We got a lot. So that wasn't it. It was just getting it to market properly. Because a lot of people think, oh, once the product is available, shoot it online and that's it. But you got to remember that your big distributors, they have warehouses, right? And then those warehouses have to get trucks to take them out to the smaller sub distributors, and then it goes from there. So it's quite a pyramid of things that by the time Panini puts out a card and it ends up on Tony Vella's hand, how many stages that it's gone through. And we're living through a time now where that's all been upset by COVID and everything else. So, it's that simple, I believe. It's like people talk about real estate across North America. Well, interest rates are as low as they've ever been across the board in most states and up here in Canada. As soon as they go up, prices go up, it changes, but everyone's tentative because of supply chain issues and everything else. And that's what we're experiencing here, sort of at a macro level, which explains how something as simple as a wrestling card release gets delayed 6 weeks.
That's right. Yeah. What else we got on the news right now? It's like that. We talked
about AEW. We talked about WWE. Let's talk about Ring of Honor. Now, Ring of Honor is interesting because
which we hardly ever talk about.
No, because they've never really put out wrestling card product, save for those postcards back in the day, those bigger ones. But just keeping on the theme of what's happening with WWE, what's happening with AEW, it was announced also this week that Ring of Honor is going dark first quarter 2022 to sort of reevaluate their business, and they also subsequently terminated all the contracts of all their talent. Now, no one's saying that ROH is going out of business, but there's speculation.
Sure seems like that's how everybody's mourning about it online.
Exactly. People are thinking, oh, it's the end, and it might be. They might.
It might be.
Yeah, they might declare on January 2 that it's over for us. But there's also, there's also companies like AEW that likes doing these deals with New Japan and with Impact, so there's a bunch of ways it can go. And then we can speculate about guys like Jay Lethal or the Briscoe brothers, their upper crop of guys where they might end up. But I just wanted to address this from a trading card point of view, because we said at the outset that they've never been much on the merchandising side.
No.
And if they do survive, and if there is a plan in the works to reinvent themselves or to do a strategic alliance with someone else, I'd like to see some of that come into the fore, some merchandising.
Yeah.
Because we'd be buying Ring of Honor cards as quickly as we'd be buying the Impact and the major pot stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, if any indication of what Impact's, series has been done, I mean, outside of Series 3, which became it took a long time for them to sell out, but clearly people want to have all these trading cards. I mean, they're clamoring for this stuff. They love it.
Yeah. The major pod guys sold out, gone.
Sold out. Yeah.
So now if you want to get those 15 autos, it's not easily done. You got to go on the secondary market. Like I got lucky. I got 12 different ones and I was ecstatic. And then I just had to go chasing down the other 3, but I still had to spend like over $100 for the other 3, just because already they're starting to get hard to find.
Yeah. Did you pull a Taz, or you have to go out and buy it?
I pulled a Taz and a Danhausen in the same pack.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. It was like, there was 2.
It's close to being a God pack.
And you know what? I'm not a pack guy. How often is it that I open packs? I mean, the odd time.
I mean,
I get an indie set. And
the definition of pack for those is a little loose.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just a team bag.
Okay, so we talked about the Feds. Let's talk about what's due with wrestling trading cards and the price guide, what we added. But let me just say this before we get into that. Congratulations to you and Zan on your first virtual con.
Oh, thanks.
For those that missed it last weekend, Tony hosted our first ever virtual wrestling show, which was over a two-night period. And what they did was they had people from within the community and the wrestling card community put stuff up for sale. And I found the prices very reasonable. It was really, really cool to put faces to names of guys that you interact with Twitter.
And it was nice because people got to meet each other for the first time.
Right.
And see other people's unique type of collecting slate as well. Yeah. And it turns out a lot of sales transpired because of that.
Yes.
So a lot of people started connecting and been doing business with each other. Like,
because Caleb knows such and such, and this guy knows that guy, and this guy, and that's how what I enjoyed again was just seeing, like Joypad, seeing them and all these guys, just seeing them face to face. And then on the second night, courtesy of Westmore, there was a couple of box breaks of some of the embossed product, which was fun. Highlight for me was the appearance of the Card Foundation podcast guys.
Yeah, we kept that we kept that hush hush.
Yeah, you didn't even tell me.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you.
Like, well, all of a sudden, you'd mentioned when Papa Bear was in the wings waiting to come on, you said, "Oh, there's Paul," and I'm thinking, "Paul, I'm not."
I know. I totally blew it. I'm like, I was hoping people thought it was you.
I'm not going on. Oh, who's Paul? And then here comes Papa Bear, and I'm like, "Oh yeah." So yeah.
It just so happened to
pulled off your shirt. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it just so happened. Well, and I was doing that regardless. I had already planned to do that. All 3 guys were supposed to join us, but then I guess Danny wasn't able to join us like that. So it ended up working out perfectly that way. Just because it's nice to see a storyline evolve naturally.
Yeah, it was good.
So we had to keep that all hush hush, in the backstage area, so no one really knew.
I just thought it was great that you see
it was great to have those guys on. And again, I encourage people to go and check out their podcast. It's just a wealth of information on there.
Lots of fun, very conversational. 3 guys having a good time. It'd be like if you walked into a bar and you saw a few guys with beers just talking about sports. That's what that is. I enjoy it quite a bit, and it was just nice to faces to names. I mean, eventually, I think we're going to have to do this all in person. But
probably now, we will.
It's nice just to again, over the course of the 2 nights. Now I had to struggle the second night because on the second night there was a Leaf game going on, there was a TFC game going on, so I was multitasking on my tablet, watching this, watching that.
It was a shorter night that night too, and I was
but it was fun.
It was fun, and we
only had start of something, like you'll do it again. And Chuck and I have already been talking about, okay, next time we'll participate and we'll do just a giveaway. We'll find something that we can make a prize for the community and get involved that way. Again, just to bring more numbers and more people. And just
look at you already plotting and planning our next one, and we haven't even decided we're going to have a next one.
Well, I think you should.
I'm pretty sure we're going to. And
you don't have to overdo it, but if it becomes a couple of times a year or once a year or whatever, it becomes an event. I just thought that, I think at the height of it, you had like 70 people or something on there. Like
Something around that. Yeah.
that's pretty good, isn't it, for a Saturday
It's
night?
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And people are kind of dipping in, checking what's going on,
all word of mouth, you know.
and just it was good. I thought it was good. It brought the community a little together, kind of introduced everybody to
Yeah,
each other, and people have things they want to get rid of. People looking for things, and
I
when you
thought it was
have
great. I mean,
you get
you guys have done so much content wise, just in general with the podcast and with these and everything else. You know, can't say it enough how much I appreciate what you've done. But this,
it's been fun. Sometimes it's been a work. It's been really hard.
yeah.
But it's
Well,
been fun.
we do this. People forget that we do this for free. We do it for the love of the hobby. None of us,
Absolutely.
you know, none of us is making scads of dough on these things. And, you know, some of us have cards that might be worth a few bucks, but that's the extent of it. We enjoy it. And what we found really is that we enjoy each other over these last few months. It's been fun hanging out and having this sort of camaraderie amongst each other, which is cool.
I can tell people that based on, as Paul here also knows too, it's like that there are some, we're plotting and planning and scheming for something, for things in 2022 that I'm
We're working on it.
hoping comes to fruition, because it would it's be great for the hobby. It's just going to be good for the hobby in general. And the timing is all going to be great, because we're going to be in the first fresh year of Panini, and
Yep.
hopefully that's going to open the doors for more people,
Yep.
like you said, who are used to having Prism product and they want to get into it. And then so just more and more eyes are being brought on to the hobby.
Yeah, stay
it's just
tuned
gonna
for
be
more
fun.
information. You know,
Yeah.
when we know, guys, you'll know.
Yeah. So hoping to make some big announcements in the coming months of
Yeah.
what we got brewing. But good
So
stuff,
let's
man.
talk about what's new on the websites.
What's
For
new with
me,
you?
I think I had the Ultimate Hasbro cards. That's that custom figure set. I think they made last month, and then Chuck did a video with Zan about those in particular. So if you're interested in learning about those, but what I have here is I'll go from the latest in October.
Be sure you do check out Zan's stuff on Wrestling with Cards like that. It's got a lot of great content on there, as usual. And getting Chuckster on there a couple of times talking about some of these cool
these custom sets, these are the two. I think the Hasbro, and the other one was the Springfield Pro Wrestling cards. Those are actually, it's a custom set of Simpson animations, and they're a fun set. Obviously, we had the Chrome. That was the big release that came out this month. And again,
which has been on fire. I mean, on fire.
Even though I don't want to take anybody hear me complaining about the seating and how much it cost me to put it all together to be indicative of the fact that the set was poor. It was a great looking set, and these in your house die cuts are fantastic. They awesome. Really are.
Well, and
sharp
the design of
I'm glad I have them. I'm glad I have them, because, like 10, 15 years from now, when we're looking back at this time, we're going to say, remember the last big WWE set with tops, and then we'll remember that. And then I've got the 2021 AAW Alive series that just got released, and they're the guys that put on that Jim Limon Memorial Tournament. They've done a couple of sets for those over the years, and I don't have my set yet. Chuck orders one for both of us, and they'll come up to me eventually. But the way he described them to me, he says these really look nice. He told me that the images that we just put up don't do it justice, because they're such a sharp looking set. And then the last thing I added was the custom set from Joypad. I don't recall his real name. Was it Keith?
That's a good Gary. I don't know. I can't remember. I just call him Joypad Lad.
I know, me too. Anyways, he also did a show with you a couple of segments back. So have a look at that. He's in his site does use videos and things like that. But he's also created his own custom set, and he calls it the 1992 era Ocean Series. And fantastic cards. Now, it's unofficial. He didn't have the rights to do this.
Yeah.
We talk about this, like, we do support these guys, but we do recognize that, that they're unofficial and
bootleg.
And you talked about this on One of the Worlds Collides. You were like, hey, these guys, you shouldn't be doing this, but if they shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be listing them. We shouldn't be supporting them, but we
Correct.
do.
But
and the reason why we do
it's a fine line, because
this guy's a great guy. He's a friend of the hobby.
Great guy or not, it doesn't matter. If we're not putting information out there based on people's personalities.
True.
We're putting things out there because they're out there. And that's where it puts us in a very unique situation. Like, how do we recognize these things? Do we just ignore them, but they exist, or we just go with the flow and say we have to acknowledge them. Acknowledge me.
If we ignore them, we might be giving them more power, you see, because then people might think more of them. If we can say this is what they are, they're unofficial, they're put out here, like the first couple of AEW sets, that the bootleg ones that came out.
Sure.
I listed them.
I listed them too, but
And I think we should, just so that people ask, what about these? What are these, you know?
Yeah, the information is what we're all about, is giving the information and educating people and letting them know that, listen, these are unofficial.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the same token, for me as a checklist site though, I sit in a different position where, because I know that I have grading companies are looking at the site to
Yes.
authenticate things. And
We're
now
looking at both of us.
I'm giving them validity now to actually grade these things now, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to have them grade unofficial bootleg product.
Well, that's not your call. That's their
It's,
call.
it's not my call, but
No, let PSA or Beckett,
I'm
whoever does the
helping,
grading,
I'm helping that
decide.
along.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, to be very clear on that, because I saw on one of the YouTube video comments about, hey guys, this is illegal, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, we're well aware of that, but we are doing the best we can to make it clear to everybody. You know,
Correct.
on the price guide, you see a little asterisk and it says unofficial.
Yeah.
Unofficial means that the person that put out these cards did not have the license from WWE or AEW or ECW or whoever it was. But all that aside, great card set.
It's such a controversial topic, I know.
Yeah.
And I have such difference of opinions, and it's like, you know, it depends on what day, you know, how I wake up each day. Like, am I going to be very against it? Am I going to be for it? It's like that. At the end of the day, though, it's all about archiving information and knowledge,
putting information out there,
and
because
people can make their own decisions.
Well, it's noticeable if it's not there and it's getting attention outside of our sites. You know what I mean? So it's important that we address it somewhat. Like these Hasbro cards, I'm sure that this was a pet project of the guy that went and took pictures of his figures. He didn't have the rights to do so, but this is a beautiful set of cards. Like, it's fantastic. I think it probably would have be more attractive to the figures collectors and the wrestling trading card guys, because it really, really shows off the different colors of figures and things like that. And they're a little bit bigger than average, and they're just a really nice looking set. And I think that's why Zen and Chuck did the specific video just on these, because it was such a unique product. But again, unofficial.
Yeah.
You know, so the same thing with the Ocean Era, but they're on our sites, and check them out, have a look at the images. You know, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. We're allowed to do that.
So that's it for price. Oh, and the other thing, I guess, is these historical. We talked about Corey's cards before we came on air. Corey, what he does is he makes cards of specific independent people, although he's doing a bunch more with Eric Bischoff and a couple others that I just got.
Yeah, but he makes these and then works out these deals specifically with the talent. Now, the imaging that are being used for these cards, I'm not quite sure where the legal issues go on that. It's like that, but clearly the talent doesn't seem to mind. It's like that, and are willing to work.
Well, they're signing them. I mean,
yeah, they're signing them.
When you did your Nash card, you went about it legitimately, got rights.
I did. I got artist rights. I paid for it.
And let Kevin know. So I presume that when Eric Bischoff is about to sign something, he's aware of, oh, what's this picture? And I'm sure like this is different than making.
Absolutely. So, and they just look like beautiful cards like that. I'm so tempted to buy into it and collect, but I have to be very careful. I don't want to start falling down that rabbit hole.
And it is a rabbit hole, because I bought the 4 that are coming out in November, the Eric Bischoff and Montoya, and then Corey DM'd me and said, listen, if you want these back ones, I've only got so many of the Daniel, and I didn't want to do it. And he said, I'll give you them for this, a whole. And then I thought, well, if I ever want them, the shipping alone, and remember, this is something I gripe about a lot, it's very rare for me to get anything to Toronto for less than $20 US now.
Sure.
Right? And think about what that does to the value of what your collectible when you're buying a $15 autograph, but it costs you $35 to get here. You know, and a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people have free shipping where you are, you know, from California, you know, so that's a problem, you know, of just being up here in Toronto. It hasn't stopped me all over these years.
But you're doing a lot of stuff where you're having, you know, a lot of things sent to Chucksters like that, or Chuckster picks them up for you. And, you turn around and just get in one bulk lot.
And God bless him for that, because certainly with the Topps living set, I wouldn't have been able to do it, because, you know, I honestly think that the one time I dealt with Topps directly was for the Undertaker set last year, and I swear it took as long as your PSAs. It was like forever to get back, and it's just and the shipping, and then I pay duty on it, whereas I don't have to deal with any of that. If it all goes to Maryland, it's all assembled at once and sent up to me in one package or a few packages per year. So, you know.
Nice.
That's a great help. Now, what about WTC? Like, I mean, you're obviously going back and backdating a lot of stuff. Is there anything?
I have so many projects to do with that, for cleanups and corrections and just formatting and things like that. And then being put in with new checklists, like all this card set that you just talked about. You know, we've got those complete checklists put up as well, and the information on it put up there as well. So just kind of going through and doing all that. Great connection right now, getting a lot of Japanese card sets on there, stuff I've never heard of in my life. So I have probably 30 checklists I need to get up there for Japanese stuff, which are going to be fantastic. Corrections and updates there, filling in the gaps and holes and checklists that
Yeah.
are missing things. So it's just,
Because we went back, Chuck and I dealt with all the Japanese stuff for the price guide back in February, March, April.
yep.
And I'm sure when you get caught up, we'll be going back to your list and filling stuff that I don't have, because that's the way it is. We're
always
you
working
said
together.
it. I remember I said to you once kind of cheekily, I said, oh, I think I've got everything. And you said, no way.
No way.
Your site does not have everything because there's always something else. And that's
There's
true.
always,
Like
always.
Anthony just unearthed a Indian set that we've
Yep.
never seen before. I'm working on something for you guys that no one's ever seen before, and I just want to get more details before I unveil it to the hobby.
Yeah, we got some, one of the guys on Twitter, it's like that, is archiving, putting together all these Mexican, Mexico magazines, cards.
Yeah, Armand,
no,
isn't it?
no one's ever had,
Isn't
checklists for.
Armand? Isn't Armand that got that lucha set?
I don't think it's Armand.
No,
It's a
maybe
different
not.
gentleman got it.
Kudos, by the way, to Armand on his autographs.
Correct.
Let me just mention that Armand is one of our staff here at WTC. We help Tony with the checklist and everything else. And Armand is a wealth of knowledge on indie stuff. And he's out there going to shows, going to signings, and the man gets everybody to sign his cards.
Oh, I mean, he's
It's
like,
quite remarkable.
it's amazing. He's like the Johnny Carson of like autographs in that area. It's like they all want to
Yeah,
be, they all want to
I'm
come to him and get autographs from him.
I guess
Give him
he's a
one.
little video shy, but I'm still waiting for you to sort of
I've asked.
unearth him to the rest of us. You got Nick on there a couple of times, but you've not got Armand.
Yeah.
And Chuck and I were talking about that. Have you ever met Armand? I said no, just by email.
Nope,
But then
just by
again, I
email.
did my price guide with Grim the same way.
Yeah. Never
Yeah.
met Grim either. So I've had conversations with him, but
Well, the first time I saw Anthony face to face was when he sent me the cartoon for my site back in whenever that was last year. That was the first time. Meanwhile, we've done business with each other for a decade, but we'd
Yeah.
never actually seen each other,
until the interview.
Yeah, well, and that was when you got him, that was the big unveiling.
Yeah, we're looking to get him back on again when he relaunches his site.
Yeah, it's taking a little longer than he expected, but it's going to be good because he's got so much product that he's just sitting on it.
He called me yesterday morning just before we were ready to head out for our day, just doing birthday celebration stuff, and he was just telling me all about. We're talking about Panini, it's like that, and let me know where he was at with his website, it's like that, and then
he's a good guy.
Here's how you get into it. If you want to take a preview, it's like that.
When he found the cowbell, he was so excited. He called me. He says, "You remember that Tony Villa said that thing about the cowbell?"
Oh,
Saturday
yes,
Live?" He says,
right
"I was here."
folks.
He was here. He says, "I found this cowbell, and I'm gonna go put a WTC logo. Should I do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, send it to Tony." And then the next segment, I think it was the Worlds Collide. You were using the cowbell as a sort of okay, next guest.
Yep, it's become a staple now of the show, apparently. So it's hilarious.
So, by the way, anybody else who ever wants to send me or Tony gifts, we're open to that kind of thing. You're more than welcome to put together a price guide or WTC mug, caps.
There you go. I'm not opposed to any of that stuff.
Yeah, guitar strings, whatever you can think of.
Yeah, get this guy a pick guard for him, for crying out loud.
Yeah, something.
Well,
that's what I should do. You can make custom picks. Maybe I'll do like WC picks.
There you go. See? Custom picks, man.
Okay, so we've covered everybody. Are we ready to start talking about some pricing and stuff?
Let's do some prices, man. Let's do our cover our prices. There's some interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah, which is really, guys, the reason why we get together every month and do this, because I'm sure that you get tired of seeing our mugs once a month. But the whole point of this is to sort of review what happened price-wise, given that that's what I do and Tony's into. So we have our market index we'll talk about in a second, but what we also do is we look at some of the top sales and we discuss those, and we invite your feedback on that if you think something's too high, something's too low, or hey, what about this? But let's look at what we've got. When I did this last month, I mentioned that the All-Stars are always going to be in there. Every month we should reasonably expect a Hulk Hogan All-Star or an Andre All-Star or a Ric Flair All-Star to be the top sale of the month or in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if a Hulk Hogan WCW autograph comes or an Alexa 101 comes or, something rare from early Japan, Poppy or something like that, sure. But the expectation is that the Hulk Hogan All-Star card is always going to be the most expensive card raw sold each month. And obviously,
which is no different than what happened in October.
And a month before that.
Yeah.
And here we are again. So top sales for October. Number one, 1982 Hulk Hogan All-Stars PSA. Now this was a signed one, but it didn't have a PSA grade to it. And it was a $4,000 sale. And there was a couple of lesser ones, but I always take the highest one of the month.
Sure.
So the biggest number sale on the month which and there was a few others of the same card as the Hogan All-Star, and 4,000. Then we go down to a PSA 8 of a 82 Ric Flair All-Star, and that traded for $2,600. And that's still, quite a bit of money,
Yep.
for a Ric Flair, given
Yep.
how many other cards there are. Not meaning to stir the pot, but do we consider that his rookie card, the All-Star? I've never gone down that road.
That's a good question. I mean,
Is that it, or would it be one of the paper cuts from before then? I don't know.
it's first appearance versus rookie. I mean, it's every single episode of
Yeah, and I
every
think
single
most
wrestling
people
podcast will talk about it.
most people gravitate to the All-Star set as being the set for the rookies. So in other words,
Correct.
if you happen to be in one of those three sets, that's likely your rookie card if you had a career beyond that.
Sure.
Here's a good one. 2020 Vince McMahon Transcendent Auto, $2,000, which is pretty good because those were going closer to 1,000, 1,200 when they first came out. And now it seems like they're going up quite a bit.
Did you specifically know, or do you recall what that was numbered to? And
I don't.
some of those are like numbered, like I've noticed there's a premium price going for like number 1 of 25 or number.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, or the
No, I
last
did
one.
it. I'll look for that next time. You find that where it is in the number makes a difference. I guess some people would
it
prefer
doesn't.
one
I know
than
it
two.
does in sports. Like if you got the guy's jersey number on a card, it's like that, and it's the number of the.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's cool. 2001 Undertaker Raw's War Auto, and it's the one Undertaker auto that I missed along the way with all the other autos that I got from Flair sets. $1,200.
War Booty.
Yeah, they call it the Raw's War Auto. War Booty, $1,200. And I'm reasonably sure that that's sold for more in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if that one in the past has sold as high as $2,000. That was the only Undertaker auto until what, 2016, 2017. So we went a long time without any Triple H, without any Undertaker, without any Stephanie, with no Vince. So Undertaker autos are always going to be popular. And then we get into the Alexa Bliss run. And we talked about this the other night with Gelman and Brett and those guys, because Alexa Bliss cards seem to be the #1 seller from the modern era. Becky is up there, and we can talk about how you can put in a Hogan or a Rock card and have one of those signed, and that can boost the value. But just for today's performers, Alexa Bliss seems to be the queen of wrestling cards. We've got here a Chrome auto from 2015 at $1,100. Then we've also got a 2020 Chrome auto numbered to 5, also at $1,100. And those were the next two. And both of Alexa Bliss. And you find a red, a 1 of 1 of her. It's going to be big dollars. Same with Becky. Same with a lot of performers, but Alexa seems to be in the last few years, to my eyes, anyways, to be the top.
And this is what's gonna happen even more so, I think, once the Panini thing starts kicking in and you get these very rare variants. Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna see these numbers double, if not triple.
Yeah. Well, just imagine, $4,000 for an Alexa Bliss card. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It could be, Well, people are talking about there's a specific subset of the Prism, gold or something, and if they happen to do a Rock in that, it would be a highly desirable card for everybody.
Of course it
would.
would.
I don't know the Prism. I don't know the Panini products. So I don't know what versions of Rock and Hogan and Flair and Harley Race or whatever need to be put in there. But they've already got their sort of finger on the pulse. Well, if they do this with that, it could be hot. So there's no reason why the #1 selling performer up until now for Topps wouldn't be the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
2017 Undertaker SmackDown Live.
I got the one in between that.
Oh yeah, I missed one. 1983 Jimmy Snuka Wrestling All Stars. $1,000.
That's interesting to me.
PSA 9. So high PSA. A lot of them are going to get graded and fall under the $1,000 mark. If you're an Iron Mike Sharp and you're a PSA 8 or 9, you're probably not not $1,000, but Snuka made it on a 9, and I think maybe Dark Side of the Ring has put him into focus. Tamina being a champion,
Could be, or just more, more attention now being brought on with the other stars in that set now with these big numbers from the guys carrying those sets to the high levels.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. 2021 Candice LeRae Chrome Superfractor. So Superfractor is a 1 of 1, $1,000.
And the one before that too was a 2017 Undertaker SmackDown Live auto.
Oh yes, sorry, I did skip that one. The SmackDown Live auto for $1,000. Again, Undertaker, if he signs something and it's a numbered parallel, you would think it's $1,000 plus.
In minimum.
And I think that's going to be the way it's going to be going forward. The man's not performing anymore. I don't think he's going to be signing a lot of stuff. And I think he was very smart to protect his brand by not signing a ton, because if you sign a lot and the market becomes flooded or saturated with your autographs, it's not as special because we don't have a lot of Undertaker cards. When one comes up on the month of October, it's $1,000, and another one a week later comes up, it's
I
$1,000.
just had this conversation with somebody recently, one of the talents that either I worked with or somebody was just telling me the story about how Taker did talk to them and put them aside and said,
Oh yeah, Charlie Haas. That's right.
Charlie
That's right.
did. Yeah.
Charlie, in his interview with
Yep.
him,
Yep.
mentioned that was sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where subconsciously I got the thought from, is that he'd mentioned that Taker said to him that don't oversign.
Don't oversign.
Because it wets down your brand,
Yep. Which I 100% agree with.
Yeah. So Candice LeRae, $1,000 on a superfractor.
That's
And
pretty
one could
cool.
argue that most superfractors are going to get close to that, but it's hard to say. Like, is a Candice LeRae more or less than a Becky?
I can tell you that if there's a Velvet Dream Superfractor out there, no one's going to be paying $1,000 for that.
No. Yeah. There's going to be Zan's Miz Superfractor that might not make $1,000.
And I'm sure he'll be really upset about that.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll lose sleep over it. And then the last one I pulled was, because there wasn't a lot of WCW autographs, was a Chris Benoit from the 1998 series for 700. And that was interesting to me for two reasons. One, because of the controversy surrounding Chris Benoit. But two, we mentioned this in past episodes, there's going to be a handful of people like Savage, Elizabeth, Hogan, maybe Jericho, Goldberg, Brett, that are likely going to get $1,000 plus. And I would have thought that Benoit along with Guerrero, because Guerrero traded last month, if you recall, for like 1,200, and this one was only 7.
But I think that was there a Guerrero that sold in October?
No, there wasn't.
I didn't think so, because I know on the Raw Deal side for the WWE Raw Deal license, they had prize cards that were actually signed by the talent, which we've talked about this before on previous episodes. Somebody actually has an Eddie Guerrero up there right now of a Raw Deal, is asking $1,800 for it.
How rare is it?
I think he signed less than 100 of them.
Oh, okay, because he didn't sign a lot.
No, he didn't sign a lot, but it was a beautiful thing with Comic Images, because Comic Images had the license for the Raw Deal stuff. When they got those out and originally made those available as prize cards for tournaments, you had to go play in tournaments and win. They were different. They broke it all down. They said, here's wave 1, wave 2, and then they did another release for different autographs, wave 1 and wave 2, and they actually released the numbers that were signed for each one of them.
Oh, okay.
So on average, it was 200 and something signatures per person kind of thing. But then you get into like the big shows, like he only signed 75 of them. Eddie Guerrero only signed like 90. Triple H and Orton only signed 10 each. Right. So they actually have official numbers for those things.
I've been hearing a lot about Raw Deal lately. Is there a bit of a spike going on?
Is there a bit of a resurgence? Like everything else, Raw Deal's been a thing. Finding things in mint condition is always very difficult with Raw Deal. It has been even when the game was being produced. Right. So I saw someone actually officially had I think it was a Kurt Angle card trying to tempt me into the Kurt. No, it was a Stone Cold card. From it was graded it got like an 8 or 9 on an actual face card of his superstar ability and stuff like that. So I think people are starting to kind of take notice of that.
So people are collecting them for collecting's sake.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
People are actually getting them slabbed. But it's going to be
so much out there.
It's very hard.
It's custom sets. There's so many nice images.
It's hard because I think that's going to be the hardest thing. If you want to get in a Raw Deal and get things graded there, because you find maybe some hidden jewels there, which I'm sure there are. It's going to be hard to find something that's going to be in high grade because 1, there's not a lot of it out there, and 2, what is out there has probably been played in sleeves.
Right. And it upsets the value of the card.
So I know there's an Eddie Guerrero went up there for 1,800 and change. That guy's asking for.
Yeah, for anyone out there that doesn't know, Tony is the Raw Deal guy. He's been active in this hobby since day one, and he's had the highest inventory. And if there's any questions, you still have the site going in the store. If you ever need to know anything about that, not just Raw Deal, any CCGs, but that's why I ask about that, because it seems to me I've seen a lot on eBay, and I've just heard more and more Raw Deal. It's like the game's not even being played. That makes sense, because people are you might want to buy a.
It's the guys who've continued the legacy of that game for all these years. It's been online. It's been alive in virtual format longer than it ever was in print. So since 2008, it went out of print in 2007. It only had a 7-year run. So since 2008, early 2009, it's been in
All been
virtual format
online.
ever since. So every
Yeah.
time they put out a new release, which are these super high resolution, high image, I mean, they're beautiful. Look, you print them, they look like real cards. I even have some sitting right here. As a matter of fact, I could show you. Going through my wonderful bag of drawer full of stuff. Xavier Woods was never in the game. He was never
Right.
in the game. But I had these professionally printed. They look just like real raw deal cards. I had them foiled. There's a superstar ability. I have
Wow. Now,
variations.
what did you do that for? To sell or to play or to
Originally, I was offering it as a service. I walked a
for
very
people?
fine line. I'm very open about this. I received a C&D from one of the co-creators of the game because I was selling these cards on my website. I sold the cards as a service because I have a connection to get them professionally printed. There were other people who knew that connection as well.
Right.
They didn't want to get them done. Like, you know what? Let Tony do it. He's already got the highest resolution out there of anybody else out there because I worked directly with, I was getting them directly from the guys who created the cards. So
Right.
what was put out there for everybody, for the general public to go ahead and download and print themselves on paper, whatever they want to do, is lesser quality than what I get. I get the high
So
resolution
that's why
images.
they buy your cards. I see.
They bought my cards because they didn't want it to take the time to learn how to put them, upload them to a website, size them correctly, all that stuff. I did that. I did over 3,500 cards. I written individually, customized, and made them all. Like I have a full master set of all of his.
My question
superstar
is this:
cards.
why were the owners of the copyright so upset? Because you were profiting
Because
from
I
them?
was selling them. I was selling
I
them.
see. Not because
They own the rights to the game, and I was
it
trying.
doesn't wreck the integrity of the game.
No, it doesn't. But it was just I was profiting off something that you know,
I see.
there were some players out there who didn't like that and giving me a lot of crap ever since then. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get it, and I don't really care. So these people
Right,
out there
of
think
course
they're going to try and, you know, bring me down. It doesn't hurt me at all. But
Right.
you know, I thought I was offering a service. Like I would make a notation on the website saying, you know, you are free to right mouse click, save this nice high resolution image yourself, edit it all
Okay.
yourself, and do what you want. Or I will do it for you as a service, and here's my charge. You can have it
Right.
in non-foil or foil version. And people liked that service. They liked it until I got the C&D, and I immediately got rid of everything off there. So,
Right.
but you know, I had stuff. Xavier Woods even reached out to me because he was a player of the game, and
Oh, really?
he wanted like, I don't have a Triple H pedigree card. Well, I can find you one. I'll get it for you. And I took care of him on it, and I sent him a set of himself.
It's pretty remarkable that the game still has legs. That
It
they're
does.
playing
And
all these
so
years
what it
later.
does is like even though you have all the virtual stuff that's come out, and they've made new cards in case you can't go out and find the old stuff because it's gotten so pricey. They've made what they call throwback versions. They made them like not as quite as powerful as the old stuff, but it makes those old stuff even more desirable. Like I want the original stuff. That's what I
Right.
want.
That
So
came
it's
out
hard.
on the day.
And so it's hard to find, and it's nice to see people actually taking it a little bit more seriously in the collecting standpoint and trying
I've noticed
to
that.
get things graded. So I think it's still a very untapped market, and that's why we had an episode talking about that.
Cool. All right, so we get to our index for the month. This is what we've been working on over the last several months, taking a bunch of same cards month after month and seeing how they sort of perform over a cross-sectional period. We've got it down to just 5 different sets now where we are reasonably sure we're going to have representation every month. And here's what we've got for this month. We've been looking at the 85 Topps Hulk Hogan because they're always coming up. And these are raw sales, by the way.
Yep.
And what we do is we take 9 sales, we average them out, we come up with a composite number for the Hogan, and then we compare it across the board and we see how it is. So in June, that card was selling on average for 41, then it went down to 28, then up to 51.
That's a big dip, by the way, too. That's a really big dip.
But look what happens now from September to October. September, the average was $48.78, or sorry, is that 49?
Yeah,
$49. And this month, $48.11. So virtually no change at all.
Yep.
And that's pretty remarkable. That's over 18 sales that the market is so zoned in to what that card is worth. So if someone ever says a raw 85 Hogan in mint condition, it's a $50 card. And we have definitive eBay sold pricing information. It's not like the price guide guess that gives you a range that says it might be this, might be that. You know, that's what this does. This tells me that that card is worth $50. You know, a little less if it's shitty, a little more if you really got a gem one. And then back to your sets, the ones that you're cranking out of your storage room, the WCW Impels, the set that never goes away. it's pretty consistent as well. It's like for that set going back to June 13, then 14 the next month, and 12, then it shot up to $15 for September. And then for this last month, it shot up to $20. There was a bunch of sales at the higher end of 25, 25, 25 that brings up the average.
Yep.
So could it be that that set is now going to start slowly rising in value? Are you running out of ink in your printer?
What do you think? Hey, there's depends on the supply, I guess. I mean, what are your thoughts on that though? Do you think that's a set that is going to continue to rise a little bit?
Well, eventually, we joke about it, but eventually we're going to run out of them, right? Eventually, the market's going to dry up. It's a popular box to find still, and that's the thing. Like when you go to these flea market kinds of places, if you're going to find a sealed box of wax, chances are better than average. It might be Impel if it's wrestling, right? A lot of people have been buying it. I've mentioned many a times that on the price guide videos that the Impel video gets watched more than anybody else. And I believe the reason why, and Armand suggested this originally, it's because it's still out there and people are checking it out as a potential purchase. So the fact that we see it, it's only $5, but it's the first sign of movement we've seen on the set in as many months. So
I'm interested to see November, December, and how that, if it maintains that level or if it dips back down to its normal levels.
Yeah. If it goes back down to like the 12, 13.
But I also like to attribute that when you start seeing things that drop in the later months of the year, it's usually because of the holidays, I think.
Could be.
You start seeing a rise again in February.
That's funny though. Christmas time prices go down, not up.
Yeah, well, because I don't know what you have in your collection. People don't buy other people's stuff for their collection.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have always saw like my raw deal stuff, going back to raw deal, that would be my lowest time of the year. So I would run all kinds of sales to try to increase my sales.
Yeah, I remember.
And then I would see a spiking. My sales would go off in end of January usually, and then I'd wait for that tax return money. People would come back and start, buying stuff again. So I'll see.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but it's very true. I remember my wife a few years ago for Christmas said, "Hey, you want me to get you a wrestling card?" Like, you're kidding, right?
You're kidding, right? You wouldn't know what to get me, honey, but I appreciate your thoughts.
A wrestling card.
A wrestling card, yes.
Here's one, and I got a bit of a bone to pick with you on this one, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
This is the Comic Images Steve Austin card. I believe it was last week during the virtual con.
Yep.
Someone held one up, and you, Tony Vella, didn't know what it was worth. And I'm thinking,
no, I didn't. I wasn't paying attention.
The man's been looking at this card with me every month. So, Tony, I knew right away. It's a $10 card. You know that because we've been through this. But just to reiterate, we had in June. Now, this is the Comic Images.
I will never forget this now.
No, now next virtual con, when someone holds up a Stone Cold, you're going to say $12.60.
That's right.
Yeah, this is the base card of Steve Austin, ungraded from the Comic Images set. And here we go again. A lot of people consider this his rookie card for WWE because this is where he becomes Stone Cold and he's not just stunning. But we won't get into that. Anyways, $12.26, $9.67, $10.11, $9.50, then up this month to $14.80. But I
noticed that your average is based on less sales.
That's correct. If you notice there wasn't as many sales, which means that I just didn't, those 7 or 8, no, it's 5 sales that I had there.
Yep.
They were the only ones in October. And that's the reason why I drilled down to these 5 is because they generally gave me the 9 sales a month that I was looking for.
Yep.
It doesn't do me a lot of good to have something that's only going to sell 1 of during the month.
Sure.
I need to have 3 or 4 to make an average and say, okay, very roughly. But even though the average is not weighted down as heavily, that could contribute. In fact, it does contribute to this month being $14 instead of the 10 or 11. But you can see 12, 9, 10, 9. It's in that $10 to $15 range as a card.
You even had one sell at 25.
Yeah, some guys that didn't know maybe.
Yeah.
And then the next one is our Royal Rumble set. We've made the 2002 Royal Rumble Fleer set sort of the benchmark Fleer set because we realize that it's going to be the most valuable going forward because of the 4 rookies that are in there. And
I mean, outside, what I love about this particular set too is looking at this trend that you've started for over the last 5 months, is that we started off at a very high level. It dipped down considerably by $40. Yeah. And it's been maintaining an upgrade ever since.
Yeah, exactly right. 201, then down to 160, 172, 180, back up to 192. So it's around that same $200 mark. Like if someone says to you on a virtual con, Tony Vella, what's a set of 2002 Fleers, you're going to know right away because you've looked at the data for the last 6 months, and yeah, it's a couple $100, and that's reasonable. Now you can see there was one here for 250, but then there's also a guy that got one for 175. So it's a
Yep.
$75 difference. It's significant, but that's the market. It depends. If you go onto eBay and there's 3 of them listed, you're going to do better than if there's none of them listed. And if
Yeah.
you happen to go on a
It's all
weekend,
depends on who's actually looking to, and yeah.
exactly. So, whilst we use eBay because they have the data, we recognize that when you buy and how how many you buy often make a difference.
Yep.
And then the last one was the undisputed Charlotte Flair autograph. And this is mind-boggling to me how consistent this has been. Look at this, Tony.
It's just,
38
yeah.
$38.78, 33.33, 34.89, 37.28, and then this month from last month 37.33. So we've got a nickel's difference over 18 sales. So if you want to say, if you want to be accurate on something, we can be accurate on the undisputed value of a Charlotte Flair autograph, because everyone seems to be coming up with the same number. They're determining that this is what it is, and no one's paying that extra 75 or getting it less. So now that this is our 5th month in a row, we can start to sort of play and say, so our average now for this month is 52.32, which is the highest month of the last 6. We had 51.31 back in June, down to 49, 46, 48. But again, it's not a big difference, a $4 difference on these 5. We can essentially say that even though by our numbers, the market's a little higher, it essentially stayed the same. So
A
what we've
tad.
seen,
It's almost the same. It really is the same. I mean, the $5 difference is.
That's 1 or 2 sales making that difference, really.
It's incredible to see that the trends on these card sites. That Charlotte one is absolutely mind-boggling to me, that it's just been consistent the entire 5 months.
Yeah.
Nothing has really changed that.
The Royal Rumble set and the Stone Cold have been pretty close. Like I'm not terribly concerned about a 5% variation. Just we're going to get that just the one guy paying too much or too little or whatever. But it's interesting. It gives us an idea of, first off, with the wrestling card sales, what are the heavy hitters? What are the big cards consistently month after month? And having this average sort of gives us a weighted idea of how the market is performing. And we can say that, it's holding steady. No great spike this month, but we didn't see a drop either. Now, had we had started doing this back in February, we would have seen the height come down.
Sure.
So that we hopped onto this just after we sort of leveled off at the new,
which is fine, which is great. I like to be a level and kind of work our way and see what happens in the market going forward, because I think these numbers are going to change drastically. I think come April, May, and June next year. Once Panini puts that, how will the new product affect the old product?
And it's going to be interesting for us to try and determine, okay, what are the reasons? What are the determining factors that, like, is it Panini? Is it the competition from AEW? Because there's going to be Panini Prism. There's going to be the second AEW set announced. All this going on while we're looking at past sales. So where does the collecting market go? Does it go to fill in these things? Like, there's always going to be a $50, it seems, a $50 market for that Hulk Hogan card, and that's not going to go away. And I don't know prior to the pandemic if we could have said that. If we had that built in, there's always going to be someone for a Hogan card at $50 mentality, which is good. It speaks to the stickiness, if you will, of the hobby, and how we've managed to troll enough new with the collection of the diehard people like us into the market. And
I feel like the pandemic just opened a lot more eyes, to the hobby. I mean, people were already gravitating towards the major sports, and
I really do.
Who wanted to diversify their investments, who are just flipping, or who wanted to get something new, just kind of took a look at wrestling and thought it was probably inexpensive, and it caused a spike. And I think that spike has stayed, even though it's flattened. It's stayed to a new floor level, and it's going to continue to go up. I think it'll spike again, and then it'll probably come back. It's just like stocks, man. It's going to be up and down, up and down.
Exactly.
Cards have always been stocks, so I've
and the other thing too is knowledge, information. And I know we had a pandemic, and but I attribute a lot of what you and Zan have done, to bring awareness about so many different facets of the hobby, so that you can catch a specific type of collector here, and then catch another. You get a grading guy here, you get a master guy here, you get a PC guy, and now all this content that's been created lives forever. So anyone can go back at any given time and go back and learn. And I think that's pretty integral to build up the base of the hobby. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but fantastic job to both you guys for not only providing the content, but the continuous content, like every month. There's new stuff from you guys that's just pushing the hobby forward, which is great.
I mean, but it's opened the doors for, I mean, so many other people are doing it now too. So I love seeing all the content, like,
Yeah,
Zan stuff and Card Foundation
yeah.
and,
And there's
just,
probably more coming.
there's more coming,
Mhm.
I knew Chef Carl was gonna have something put out, when he was gonna do something, and
Yeah.
I was looking forward
We
to
should
that.
talk about Adam's
And
newsletter.
there's,
Adam's Wrestling Observer newsletter, or whatever he calls it,
yeah,
is, he's very knowledgeable in the mechanics of cards. Like he can speak to, here's what's happened with Panini, so here's what may happen with WWE Panini.
yep, yep,
You know?
yep. Another wealth of information right there as
Yeah,
well. And then,
yeah,
so maybe there will be somebody else out there. So you know what? I like the idea of what someone like Chef Carl was going to do. I'm gonna start some content. I don't care. More content, the better. I'm with Zan on
I
that.
think so.
So it just throws more eyes on the product and the hobby, and just makes it that much better for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The
So.
hobby is a fun place to be, for
It's a
sure.
fun place to be, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
whether you're in it in it to flip, or you're in it to collect and have fun, it's. I can tell you right now, since starting doing these things and getting back into all the checklists like that, it's gotten me, who's been out of collecting for a long time. I've dabbled with
collecting
something.
again.
I'll pick something up here and there over the years, but actually collecting again for the first time, in a long time, I'm having fun. So
And that's what
having
it's got to be about.
having a Kurt Angle collection, that's still fun, and I'm always going to be collecting that. But now getting to the Dexter Loomis type stuff, that's
Right.
something new and fun for me too. I never watched the guy wrestle in my life. Never
But
watched. I see snippets, I see content going on a little bit, and hearing things. I was like, this guy looks unique to me. I know,
yeah,
I just something about him that I'm just going to collect him. It's low investment, low risk. If he
yeah.
blows up, I'm on the ground floor.
Yeah, when he wins the title, you're going to make off like a hero.
Well, if I
And
want to
remember,
sell,
too, we're entering into a brand new era of Panini and Upper Deck, and that's going to open doors to new people, new eyeballs, all that stuff.
and I hope that these guys, now that we're moving into this new era of wrestling cards, uh, learn from the mistakes of the people in the past who didn't do things the right way for this hobby. I
Yes,
love what Upper Deck and AEW are doing with advertising on a national television level, even if it's a snippet in the lower right hand corner,
yeah.
left
Even
hand corner.
Impact does it. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, impact. I
It
mean, it's
brings
just
awareness. So people know there's not just
awareness.
t-shirts and figures.
Yeah,
People think, oh, I'll get a t-shirt, I'll get a figure. They don't know about the cards. And cards, once people realize, wait a minute, I can buy a deck of created cards for 35 bucks or 50 bucks, get everybody in here, and it's like this big.
yep,
And anyone that's done that with Bola or with GCW or with any of these releases, they're laughing because these things are selling for like 300 bucks now. I
yep,
don't know what Vans All Ins are worth now, but they're worth a whole lot more.
yeah,
And this is on the indie side, right? So it's all
yeah,
good.
yeah. And just having that, like, I got an autograph. Like, I've never met this guy, but I'm a fan. I got an autograph out of this pack, out of this box, whatever. It's fun, and I think
It
people
is.
start becoming aware of it. It becomes better for everybody. So.
Well, I just had to complete my major pod autographs, right? And it's a long time since I've had that kind of chase or that kind of challenge, right? Because I don't do autographs
But it
anymore.
was fun though, wasn't it?
It was. Well, I bought 15 packs, knowing I wouldn't get 15 different autographs, but knowing I'd have to do, the who's got what after the fact to try
Sure.
and put it all together.
Do you
And it was fun.
you trade off on any of your extras?
No, I've got them sitting right here, and I've got a Smart Mark, a Brian Myers, and an EC3. If anybody needs any of them, hit me up.
And
They-
maybe those will be available on our next virtual con.
Yeah, they might be given to you for free if you answer a trivia question at our next. And I've got, like there's a set there of Chikara. It's a complete set,
Yeah.
not complete, but the ones that everyone has with the Eddie Kingston and that was because Chuck got a set for me, and I had bought a set without knowing he had that set for me, and they both arrived and they were both complete. So I said,
Oh.
okay, Chuck. I said, well, let's keep them here, and it's got the Claudio, the Cesaro, it's got the Brody
Hmm.
Lee, it's got the Eddie Kingston, it's got everything. So that could be something. I've got a bunch of things. I got a bunch of Anthony stuff.
It's so bad. Like, my brain literally is split in half. Like, you don't need it, ask him about it. You don't need it, ask him about it.
There's no Kurt Angles or next to
I don't
Loomis.
care. It's like, it's fun to collect. I don't care.
Yeah, the indie stuff has been fun. I've enjoyed sort of getting into that because it's just a different change of pace. And again, to what I led with at the top, as a master collector, I'm quite looking forward to Panini. It's a change, it gives you sort of a new enthusiasm, you got new vigor, vitality to chase down the product. Again, I don't know how it's going to go. Am I going to be able to buy Chase stuff, and am I going to get relics, and am I going to get autographs?
Well, you
I
know,
go
if
with
I
every,
get, if I end up getting anything at all and you need it from me, you know,
yeah, yeah.
obviously I'm not going to hold on to it.
Well, a lot of people, a lot of my friends in the hobby have bought this product, so it shouldn't be like, even with the or these major pods, it didn't take long to get the 3 that I needed just by putting the word out on Twitter to the guys that follow us. In fact, Joypad was a guy with his set of Ocean Eras came the last one that I needed.
Oh, there you go. See,
Yeah, so it worked out.
great.
So that's all I
Well,
got for us, sir. We talked about marketing. We talked about the top sales. We talked about Panini. We talked about AEW. They are going to come. Don't blame them. Don't blame them Upper Deck. It's supply chain issues around the world. We talked about Ring of Honor. I'm optimistic that they're going to be back bigger and stronger than ever. Make trading cards, guys. What do you got? Anything else?
no, I got it. We covered it all, man. I mean, it's been
I
a
think
busy
so.
month. A lot of news, like a lot of shakeups in the month of October for this industry.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, although, I didn't know, we knew something was going to happen, but it caught me by surprise. I think some people had an inkling, but we weren't talking about it the night before, like we were the Upper Deck announcement. So I think a lot of people were surprised to hear, Adam apparently knew or was projecting that it was going to be Panini. And
there were some of us that have been talking about it for a few months.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about stuff before it happens because, first of all, it's not our place to have loose lips.
That's true.
If the parties that be want it to be quiet to the hobby on a certain date, there's no reason why we should spoil that. But a lot of times you just don't hear it, like just Monday morning or whatever day it was, Wednesday morning, we all woke up to dual press releases from WWE and Panini. And right away, I'm like, done, beautiful.
Yeah.
And away we go. And then you're texting me 2 hours later saying we should do a show tonight. I'm like, yeah, we should.
We should.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. All right, man. How can everybody find you, man? We're going to wrap this up and see how people can find you.
Sure. It's Paul and Anand. My site is called thewrestlingcardpriceguide.com. Don't do Insta, don't do Facebook, but on Twitter, it's card_guide. I post a lot of autographs and things like that. So if you're into cards and you just want to come and flip through my tweets, you'll see different things. One of the things I'm proud of is I don't tweet the same stuff over and over and over again. It's like, hey, here's 82 All-Star for the 63rd time. I try to do different stuff to show the sort of breadth and scope of my collection and what's out there. There's a lot of stuff that came after the Fleer era, before where we are now, from Topps, that, even though we dump on Topps, there's great stuff out there, including that AJ Teddy Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a whole lot of stuff. The Rumble packs were a lot of fun. I still consider the Platinum from 2010 to be one of the best wrestling sets ever put out there. So it's not like Topps didn't do a good job. It's just that after 15 years, you get a little long in the tooth for this kind of thing. And they say a change is good as a rest. Let's shake it up a little bit. And I'm sure Panini, like on the press release, their CEO seemed very keen and anxious to bite into this whole WWE.
Yeah.
So it should.
And every once in a while, I also see you kind of poke your nose every once in a while on the Discord channel. So I don't think we don't give enough love to the Discord channel. I mean, it was actually requested some months back, and I was super surprised to hear that there wasn't a dedicated channel to wrestling.
It seems
cards.
like you're getting a little more too, like the raw deal. I've seen a little more, like I get a little bing when I don't respond a lot because unless it's a specific pricing question or something that is very relevant to me, like a triple.
I've been seeing a lot more activity in the last couple of weeks on that channel. So
and more people coming on board.
Yeah. So don't forget to check that out as well. And you can find that along with all the other things for WrestlingTradingCards.com on WrestlingTradingCards.com. On every page at the bottom, there's all the social media links there, including Discord channel, YouTube channel, all that stuff. So
great wrestling content. Check out both sites.
Yep, absolutely.
We're here to answer any questions. We're happy to do it, and we're spread the word. Let everyone know that we're not basketball, hockey, or football. The wrestling trading card hobby, we're a bunch of great guys.
Yep, that's right. Well, most of us anyways.
Yeah, almost.
Anyway, and with that, so make sure you give us any suggestions, comments, bitch, complain, whatever you like to do. Like, subscribe to this channel, it'd be great. That'd be awesome. I didn't even realize that after you hit 100 subscribers, I could actually do a custom URL now, so I have to look into that. So it won't be youtube.com/ all these numbers and characters. Like I can actually do a YouTube, wrestling trading cards.
Awesome.
So working on that. But great month.
Yeah.
See you again, sir.
You too. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a month's time.
We'll see you, man. And we're out.
All right.